This video is to demonstrate how to replace the flame sensor on a Peerless PureFire boiler, which tends to be a common failure point on these boilers. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on service calls for what amounts to about a $60 part and about a 2-minute replacement time. So I keep a back stock of these flame sensors in the basement and end up replacing them about 2 or 3 times a winter. All you need is an 8mm Torx driver. You can get these kits at the hardware store, these multi-tooled style Torx drivers. And then this is the flame sensor for the Peerless boiler. I get it from a company called partstoyourdoor.com, and you can order them for, I believe they're about $50 or $60, which seems overpriced, and then on top of that they charge you like $30 in ground UPS shipping, which seems a bit extravagant, but it sure beats a $250 service call in the middle of the night when your boiler stops firing. So the first step is to remove the outer casing of the boiler, which is just a matter of pulling out on the outer shell. You can set that aside, and you can see we're in standby mode. Oftentimes what will happen is when that flame sensor fails, you'll get a lockout alarm, which means that the boiler has tried to fire 3 times, but the flame sensor does not sense a flame because it's failed, and it will actually lock out the boiler and not allow it to ignite any further. And it'll just circulate water through your system to keep it from freezing up, but that does not heat your house. So time to replace the flame sensor. In this case, I'm doing it as a precautionary measure since I'm going out of town, but like I said, I usually keep some backups on hand to replace when I need to. So step number 1 is, well, step number 1 was to remove the cover. Step number 2 is to just shut the system off with the on-off switch there. And if you look at the front of the heat exchanger unit here, what you have is on the left your spark igniter or spark plug with its dedicated wire, and this is your flame sensor with its dedicated wire. So not unlike a car spark plug setup, all we have to do is gently pull off the connecting wire, sensor wire there. Just leave that down there, and you can see we've got our flame sensor here with the 2 Torx screws holding it in place. So I'm going to take my screwdriver, and I'm just going to loosen these screws. Making sure not to lose them because those are not provided with the new flame sensor. So there's one, which I'll put down here, and here's number 2. Get it loose. I have dropped these in the basement before and they're a pain to find, so I'm just being extra careful here. Pull that out, and you can see the flame sensor just wants to come right out. So I'll do them both together. There we go. 2 screws, an old flame sensor. If you look at the flame sensor here, they get this buildup of white on them from the heat, from being in the flame. This one, like I said, had not shown that it failed, but just looking at it, I can tell it's on its way. So I'm going to take my new one, which is still nice and metallic, and install it. And what's nice about it is there's pretty much only one way to put it in because of the alignment, the offset of the screws. And basically all you need to do at this point is to put the screws back in. I can't do this while I'm holding this camera. But basically you put the screws back in, making sure that the gasket's in place and sealed nicely. Don't over torque it, or make sure you don't cross thread it as you're putting it in. Plug in the cable again and put the cover back on, switch it on, And if you had a failure, if you had a lockout alarm, you have to go back up to your keypad and do a reset, which resets the system. And then it'll try to fire again, watch it, and off you go. Hope this was helpful. Like this, share it, make comments. Good luck with your Peerless boiler. They're pretty good units other than this one Achilles heel. Good luck. Take care.